High Admiral Xerxes stood before the Grand Council of the Craxan Empire, his scaled hands clasped behind his back as holographic displays illuminated the chamber with scenes of human colonies. His golden eyes narrowed with barely contained disdain as he gestured toward the images of Earth's supposedly primitive outposts. Distinguished council members, our surveillance confirms what we've long suspected. These humans are nothing more than lucky primitives who stumbled upon faster-than-light travel. Xerxes' voice carried through the chamber with practiced authority. Their outer colonies are defended by outdated plasma arrays and simple kinetic barriers. They spend more resources on entertainment complexes than military installations. First speaker Meridia, her crystalline skin refracting light in patterns that indicated skepticism, leaned forward. Intelligence Director Thera has expressed concerns about unusual energy signatures around their core worlds. Perhaps we should investigate further before. With respect, first speaker. Xerxes interrupted, his throat frills flaring slightly. We've monitored their development for 50 years. They still use physical armor on their ships instead of energy shields. They repair vessels instead of replacing them. Their technology is generations behind ours. The council chamber hummed with murmured discussions. Xerxes knew he had them. The Craxan Empire had dominated 12 sectors of space through superior technology and military might. These humans, with their quaint notions of peaceful cooperation and cultural exchange, were sitting on resources the Empire needed. Intelligence Director Thera, a smaller Craxan with midnight blue scales, stepped forward. High Admiral, my analysts have detected massive underground complexes beneath their colonies. The energy readings don't match their supposed technological level. We should. Storage facilities. Xerxes dismissed with a wave of his hand. Probably full of their precious entertainment systems and synthetic food processors. Did you know they still eat organic matter instead of using energy absorption? Primitives. The council voted. Operation Stellar Cleans was approved, with only Intelligence Director Thera abstaining and submitting a report titled Historical Analysis, species that appeared weaker than they were. 3 days later, Xerxes watched from the bridge of the Imperial Dreadnought Eternal Night as his fleet approached the human colony of New Eden. The planet's twin moons cast a pale light over the settlement below, its dome-covered cities gleaming like pearls on the rocky surface. Sir, standard defensive platforms detected, reported Tactical Officer Venna. Basic plasma cannons and kinetic barriers, just as expected. Commence the attack, Xerxes ordered, allowing himself a small smile. Let's show these humans what real military power looks like. The first salvos from his fleet lit up the night side of New Eden like artificial suns. The colony's defensive platforms responded with predictably primitive plasma fire, easily absorbed by Craxan shields. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. Then Sensor Officer Krell's voice cut through the bridge's satisfied atmosphere. Sir, detecting unusual energy signatures. They're coming from underground. Before Xerxes could respond, massive sections of New Eden's surface began to shift and move. What they had assumed were entertainment complexes and storage facilities split apart like opening flowers, revealing what lay beneath: launch bays and weapon emplacements that definitely didn't match humanity's supposed technological level. Impossible. Xerxes breathed as new contacts began appearing on his tactical displays. The ships emerging from hidden underground hangars bore little resemblance to the primitive vessels humanity had been parading around the galaxy. These were sleek, predatory machines that seemed to bend light around them in impossible ways. Intelligence Director Thera's voice came through on a priority channel, tight with controlled anger. High Admiral, I've decrypted some of their secure communications. You should know what they're calling this: Operation Dragon's Wake. Apparently, we just did exactly what they've been waiting 50 years for someone to do. A transmission cut through all Craxan frequencies, bypassing their best encryption as if it didn't exist. A human voice, calm and almost amused, filled the bridge. Craxan Fleet, this is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. Thank you for falling for what might be the longest military deception operation in human history. Now, please stand by for a demonstration of why we really use physical armor on our ships. Hint: quantum mirrored alloys do fascinating things to energy weapons. As his fleet's superior energy weapons began reflecting back at his own ships, Xerxes finally understood the truth. The humans hadn't been struggling to keep up with advanced civilizations. They'd been hiding their true capabilities, waiting for someone arrogant enough to test them. And the Craxan Empire had just volunteered for the job. The real battle was about to begin, and Xerxes had a sinking feeling that the history books would remember this day as the moment the Craxan Empire learned a vital lesson about underestimating humanity. As reports of impossible technologies and devastating counterattacks flooded in, he realized that humanity's seemingly primitive military had been a masterfully crafted facade. The dragons weren't just waking up. They'd been awake all along, waiting patiently for someone to make exactly this mistake. Dr. Elena Martinez stood in the heart of Project Phoenix's command center, buried 2 kilometers beneath the surface of New Eden. Holographic displays showed the ongoing battle above, where the Craxan fleet was learning some very expensive lessons about human ingenuity. She allowed herself a small smile as another enemy dreadnought discovered the hard way what quantum mirrored armor did to their supposedly superior energy weapons. Phase 1 is proceeding as anticipated, she reported to the gathered military and scientific leadership. The Craxan took the bait exactly as the psychological models predicted. Their cultural superiority complex made them incapable of believing we could be hiding anything significant. General James Chen, brother of Admiral Sarah Chen, who was currently giving the Craxan fleet a demonstration in tactical humility, nodded in satisfaction. 50 years of playing the humble newcomers, acting impressed by their advanced technology, letting them think we were barely managing to keep our ships flying. Was it worth all the deception? Elena gestured to a particular display, showing the Craxan flagship trying desperately to coordinate a defense against weapons they hadn't believed possible. I'd say so. Project Phoenix was built on a simple premise. Humanity's greatest advantage isn't our technology. It's our paranoia. The room chuckled. It was an old joke among the Project Phoenix staff. When humanity had first detected alien signals in 2157, the immediate response hadn't been to broadcast greetings. Instead, the world's governments had done something unprecedented. They'd agreed to keep quiet and prepare. Display the timeline, Elena commanded, and the central hologram shifted to show the last century of human technological development. While we were showing the galaxy our primitive ships with physical armor and chemical engines, the Phoenix Protocol was advancing our real capabilities in secret. The quantum fold drive, temporal manipulation fields, Dragon-class warships, all developed and hidden in plain sight. Admiral Chen's voice came through the command center's communications. Elena, the Craxan are attempting to regroup. Time to show them why we really built those entertainment complexes with such massive power requirements. Elena's smile widened. Initiating Phase 2. Bringing quantum fold generators online. The hidden truth about humanity's technological development was about to become horrifyingly clear to the Craxan Empire. Those enormous power plants they'd dismissed as wasteful human infrastructure. They were about to learn their real purpose. Intelligence Director Thera's earlier warnings proved prophetic as human ships began appearing and disappearing across the battlefield, using localized space-time distortions to outmaneuver the Craxan fleet. Each entertainment complex was actually housing quantum fold generators capable of bending space itself. You have to admire the elegance of the deception, commented Dr. Marcus Wong, lead scientist of the Quantum Mechanics Division. We showed them exactly what we were doing, just wrapped in a different context. Those regular maintenance cycles on our primitive ships, actually rotating in our advanced vessels. The constant power draws from our colonies, testing and charging quantum fold systems. General Chen watched the tactical displays with satisfaction. The Craxan made the same mistake everyone makes about humans. They looked at our entertainment budget and assumed we couldn't be serious about defense. They never asked why a species would spend so much energy on civilian infrastructure. Because the truth was too outlandish to consider, Elena finished. That we were building a military facade to hide behind, while we prepared for exactly this scenario. The real question is, how will they react when they realize just how thoroughly they've been deceived? The answer came moments later as the Craxan fleet attempted to regroup, finally understanding that they were dealing with an enemy far more advanced than they believed possible. Their communications, easily intercepted by human quantum systems, revealed growing panic among their commanders. "This is impossible." High Admiral Xerxes' voice crackled through intercepted channels. Their technology. They couldn't have hidden this level of advancement. The power requirements alone would require massive infrastructure, Elena mused, watching the displays. The kind you might disguise as civilian power plants and entertainment complexes. Funny how assumptions can blind you to what's right in front of your face. The Project Phoenix Command Center hummed with activity as Phase 2 fully activated. Across New Eden and a dozen other colonies, massive power plants that had masqueraded as civilian infrastructure for decades revealed their true purpose. Quantum fold fields began to ripple across space, creating corridors of altered reality that human ships could navigate with practiced ease. "Signal from Admiral Chen," announced the communications officer. "Dragon-class vessels are in position. She's requesting authorization to reveal our final surprise." Elena looked to General Chen, who nodded grimly. They wanted to see humanity's real military capability. "Let's show them what 50 years of paranoid preparation looks like. Authorize Dragon Protocol." As the command was given, Elena reflected on the true scope of humanity's deception. The Craxan thought they were fighting a primitive species that had gotten lucky with FTL technology. Instead, they were about to face the combined might of a civilization that had spent half a century preparing for this exact scenario. The first Dragon-class vessel emerged from its quantum fold bubble, its massive form distorting space-time around it. The Craxan were about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their advanced technology. It was their capacity for patient, methodical preparation. "Send word to all Phoenix facilities," General Chen ordered. "The masquerade is over. Show them what humanity can really do." Admiral Sarah Chen watched from the bridge of the EDF Hyperion as the first Dragon-class vessel, Leviathan, tore through space-time like tissue paper. The Craxan fleet's formation scattered in panic as the massive ship emerged, its quantum-mirrored hull reflecting starlight in impossible patterns. But it wasn't just the size of the vessel that terrified them. It was what it represented, the true face of human military power. "Status report on Operation Thunderbolt," she commanded, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her system. The bridge crew, hidden for years behind the facade of being simple colonial defenders, worked their stations with practiced precision. "Quantum fold networks are fully operational," reported Commander Jack Rodriguez, his hands dancing across holographic controls. "All Dragon-class vessels report ready. The Craxan fleet is exactly where we want them." Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. The Craxan had fallen for humanity's trap so perfectly that it would have been almost comical if the stakes weren't so high. Their entire attack strategy had been based on fighting the primitive human military they thought they knew, not the one humanity had spent 50 years building in secret. "Message from High Admiral Xerxes," announced Communications Officer Maya Patel. "They're demanding our surrender." She couldn't quite keep the amusement out of her voice. "Put him through," Sarah ordered. "Let's explain exactly what they've gotten themselves into." Xerxes' holographic form appeared on the bridge, his scaled features twisted in a combination of rage and disbelief. "What manner of deception is this? You've violated dozens of galactic treaties by hiding military capabilities of this scale." "Actually," Sarah replied calmly, "we haven't violated anything. Every treaty specifically covers the disclosure of active military assets. Everything you're seeing was classified as experimental technology and civilian infrastructure. We just never mentioned that our experiments were successful or that our infrastructure had dual purposes. The Kraxan admiral's throat frills flared in fury. Impossible. The power requirements alone for these technologies were hidden in plain sight. Sarah finished. Those entertainment complexes you mocked. Quantum fold generators, the constant ship maintenance, rotating in our advanced vessels, the massive power draws, testing and charging our real weapons. You saw exactly what we were doing. You just chose to interpret it through the lens of your own prejudices. As if to punctuate her words, the Leviathan demonstrated exactly why Dragon-class vessels earned their name. The massive ship's quantum-mirrored hull began to ripple, sections of its structure existing in multiple points in space-time simultaneously. The effect created the illusion of massive scales shifting across its surface. You're not just facing our technology, Sarah continued, watching Cirx's expression shift from anger to the first hints of fear. You're facing 50 years of humanity preparing for someone to make exactly this mistake. Initialize temporal combat protocols. The bridge crew responded instantly, activating systems that had been practiced countless times in secret. The quantum fold network, disguised for decades as civilian infrastructure, came fully online. Space itself began to twist and distort around the human fleet. Multiple temporal incursion points detected, Rodriguez reported. Quantum targeting systems online. Time-shifted weapon platforms are in position. The Kraxan fleet's formation began to break apart as they realized the true horror of what they were facing. Human ships weren't just appearing and disappearing through space. They were attacking from multiple points in time simultaneously. A single human vessel could fire its weapons, quantum fold to a different temporal position, and strike again before its first shot had even landed. Tactical analysis, Sarah commanded, watching the chaos unfold. The Kraxan are attempting to adapt their shields to counter our quantum-mirrored weapons, reported Tactical Officer Wei Chen. But they can't defend against attacks coming from different temporal vectors. Their entire tactical doctrine is based on linear time combat. Sarah nodded. This was why humanity had invested so heavily in temporal warfare technology. Traditional space combat strategies became meaningless when your opponent could attack you from multiple points in time simultaneously. Message from Project Phoenix Command, Maya announced. Dr. Martinez reports all quantum fold generators are at full power. They're ready to proceed with Phase 3. Signal the Leviathan, Sarah ordered. Tell them to demonstrate why we call these ships dragons. The massive vessel's response was spectacular. Its quantum-mirrored hull began to resonate with the temporal distortions, creating cascading waves of altered spacetime that rippled through the Kraxan fleet. Ships caught in the effect found themselves experiencing time at different rates. Weapons fired in slow motion. Shields fluctuated as they tried to maintain coherence across temporal gradients. Multiple Kraxan vessels attempting emergency FTL jumps, Rodriguez reported. But the temporal distortions are preventing stable jump points from forming. They're trapped, Sarah realized, just as planned. The Kraxan had walked right into humanity's carefully prepared killing ground. Every piece of apparently primitive human technology, every seemingly wasteful power plant, every entertainment complex, all of it had been positioned exactly for this moment. Admiral, Maya's voice cut through her thoughts. New transmission from High Admiral Cirxus. They're requesting terms of surrender. Sarah looked at the tactical display, watching as humanity's true military might finally reveal itself to the galaxy. The Kraxan had started this fight believing they were swatting an annoying primitive species. Instead, they had awakened a giant that had spent half a century preparing for war while pretending to be sleeping. Tell them, she said quietly, that their terms of surrender will be discussed after they understand exactly what they've provoked. Signal all Dragon-class vessels. Commence full temporal engagement. Energy shields rely on maintaining a consistent barrier in spacetime, Wang explained to the bridge crew. But when spacetime itself becomes inconsistent, the effect was devastating. Kraxan energy shields flickered and failed as they tried to maintain coherence across multiple temporal states. Their mighty warships, stripped of their primary defense, were suddenly vulnerable to weapons they had dismissed as primitive. Quantum resonance reaching critical threshold, Yuki reported. Temporal cascade effect in 3, 2, 1. The space around the Dragon-class vessels erupted in a display that defied description. Multiple time states collapsed into a single point, creating a ripple effect that spread across the battlefield like a temporal tsunami. Craxan ships caught in the wave found themselves experiencing time at different rates. Weapons fired in slow motion. Engines burned out as they tried to compensate for temporal differentials. Message from Admiral Chen, came the communication. The Craxan flagship is experiencing total systems failure. Their primary fleet is combat ineffective. Wang watched the tactical displays with a mixture of pride and solemnity. The Dragon-class vessels represented humanity's greatest technological achievement and their greatest deception. While the galaxy had mocked humanity's seemingly primitive technology, they had been perfecting weapons that turned space-time itself into a weapon. Sir, Yuki's voice carried a note of urgency. We're detecting unusual energy readings from several Craxan vessels. They appear to be charging their reactors beyond safety limits. Wang's eyes narrowed as he studied the data. They're going to try to overload their reactors. They think a massive energy discharge might disrupt our temporal fields. Through the quantum link, Admiral Chen's voice was calm but firm. Can they succeed? No, Wang replied, already making the necessary adjustments to the quantum core. But they might tear a hole in local space-time trying. All Dragon-class vessels, initiate containment protocols. Show them our final surprise, why we really built these ships so big. The Dragon-class vessels began to move again, but this time with a different purpose. Their massive forms shifted and realigned, quantum-mirrored hulls creating overlapping fields of controlled space-time. They weren't just weapons platforms. They were reality anchors, capable of stabilizing space-time itself. Containment fields at maximum, Yuki reported, ready to neutralize any temporal anomalies. As the Craxan ships began to detonate their reactors in a desperate final gambit, the Dragon-class vessels revealed their true mastery over space-time. The massive explosions were caught and contained within controlled temporal fields, the energy safely dispersed across multiple time states. Send word to Admiral Chen, Wang ordered, watching as humanity's greatest technological achievement proved itself worthy of its mythological namesake. The Dragons have the field under control. It's time to accept the Craxan surrender and show the galaxy why they should be very, very glad we decided to be peaceful explorers first and warriors second. First Speaker Meridia stood in the Galactic Council chamber, her crystalline form reflecting the tense atmosphere as representatives from 12 species watched the final transmission from High Admiral Xerxes. The once proud Craxan commander looked broken, his scales dulled with stress and defeat. The human deception was total. Xerxes reported, his voice hollow. While we mocked their primitive technology, they were building weapons that turned space-time itself into a battlefield. The Dragon-class vessels alone represent a level of technological advancement that... He paused, throat frills trembling. That makes our greatest achievements look like children's toys. Intelligence Director Thera stepped forward, her midnight blue scales almost black in the chamber's dim light. The humans have transmitted their terms. They're not what anyone expected. The chamber erupted in murmurs as the terms appeared on the main display. Admiral Sarah Chen's holographic form materialized in the center of the chamber, her expression neutral but firm. Representatives of the Galactic Council, she began. Humanity's response to the Craxan Empire's unprovoked aggression has revealed capabilities we would have preferred to keep hidden. Now we must deal with the consequences of that revelation. She gestured, and a series of holographic displays appeared, showing the true extent of human technological advancement. The council members watched in stunned silence as 50 years of careful deception was peeled away. We could demand the Craxan Empire's unconditional surrender, Chen continued. Our Dragon-class vessels could enforce any terms we desire. Instead, we propose something different. Cooperation. Dr. Elena Martinez appeared beside Chen's hologram, bringing up displays of human scientific achievements. While we were developing temporal warfare technology, we made breakthroughs in other areas. Medical science, environmental restoration, clean energy. Advances we kept hidden because we feared they would reveal our true capabilities. Now we offer a choice, Chen resumed. The Craxan Empire can surrender traditionally, face reparations, and lose their status as a major power. Or, she smiled slightly, they can join us in what we've actually been working toward for the past 50 years. A genuine galactic community of equals. First speaker Meridia's crystalline form shimmered with surprise. You're offering technology sharing. After they attack your colonies. We're offering more than that. Dr. Marcus Wong's hologram joined the others. We're offering the truth about humanity. Yes, we spent 50 years preparing for war, building weapons that could reshape reality itself. But that wasn't our primary goal. The displays shifted, showing vast underground complexes throughout human space. But these weren't weapons facilities. They were research centers, medical laboratories, environmental terraforming stations. The Dragon-class vessels aren't just warships, Wong explained. They're space-time manipulation platforms. Yes, they can be used as weapons, but their real purpose. They can stabilize dying stars, prevent natural disasters, even reverse environmental damage on a planetary scale. While we were pretending to be technological primitives, Martins added, we were actually working to solve problems that affect all spacefaring civilizations. We just needed to be sure we could defend ourselves before revealing these advances. The council chamber was silent as the implications sank in. The humans hadn't just outmaneuvered the Craxan militarily. They had outthought everyone on a strategic level that spanned decades. The choice is yours. Chen addressed the Craxan representatives directly. Continue thinking in terms of military power and empire, or join us in building something greater. We've proven we can destroy you. Now let us prove we'd rather help you grow. High Admiral Xerxes, still visible on his command channel, looked at Intelligence Director Thera. You tried to warn us, he said quietly, about making assumptions, about looking deeper. Thera's scales shifted in what might have been a smile. Perhaps it's time we learned from those who fooled us so completely, not just about technology, but about thinking beyond warfare. First speaker Meridia rose, her crystalline form catching the light in new patterns. The Council recognizes that the galaxy has changed. Humanity has demonstrated not just technological superiority, but strategic wisdom. Their terms are, most unusual for a victorious power. Because victory was never our goal, Chen replied. Defense was necessary, but our true victory will be turning enemies into allies, transforming military rivalry into scientific cooperation. The Council Chamber's displays showed the Dragon-class vessels, their quantum-mirrored hulls now calm and steady, no longer rippling with temporal energies. They hung in space not as conquerors, but as guardians of a new era. We accept your terms, Xerxes announced, his voice stronger now. The Craxan Empire. No, the Craxan people would be honored to learn from humanity, both about technology and about thinking beyond traditional power structures. As the Council chamber erupted in discussion about this unprecedented resolution, Dr. Elena Martinez sent a private message to Admiral Chen. 50 years of hiding our true nature, preparing for the worst while hoping for the best. Was it worth it? Chen's reply was simple. Look at the displays, Elena. We just turned an invasion into first step toward genuine galactic cooperation. I'd say humanity's greatest deception was convincing everyone we were only preparing for war when we were actually preparing to change the galaxy itself. The Dragon-class vessels began powering down their temporal field generators, their quantum-mirrored hulls reflecting the light of a new dawn. Humanity had revealed its true face to the galaxy, not just as masters of deception and warfare, but as architects of a future where technology served life rather than threatened it. The dragons had been unleashed, but their true purpose wasn't destruction. It was protection, progress, and the promise of a future where former enemies could work together toward goals greater than empire or conquest. Humanity's greatest weapon, it turned out, wasn't their advanced technology. It was their capacity to think beyond the usual cycles of conflict and dominance.